While Blackfyre is arguably the most important of the two Valyrian steel swords of House Targaryen, being the Sword of Kings, there is a second ancestral blade, Dark Sister, which comes with its own long and storied history, wielded by some of the fiercest warriors House Targaryen has ever produced, being used in combat in battles that would define the Targaryen era of Westeros, from Aegon's conquest to the bloody Dance of the Dragons and the Blackfyre Rebellions. Let's take a look at the long history of Dark Sister. While we do not know for certain when the blade came into the possession of House Targaryen, we can say for sure they had it before Aegon's conquest. Dark Sister, despite being a similar Valyrian steel blade, forged with the blood and magic in the fires of old Valyria, it is distinctly different from Blackfyre in several key factors. Namely, there is much speculation in the history books that the blade was originally intended to be used by a female warrior, given its more elegant design, a notable, more slender blade than that of Blackfyre, which some have taken to suggest it would be better suited for the hands of a woman. The first known wielder of the blade was Queen Visenya Targaryen, the elder sister wife of Aegon the Conqueror, and arguably the best fighter of the three Targaryen siblings who conquered Westeros. Queen Visenya was renowned for her skill of use with Dark Sister, having trained beside her younger brother, King Aegon I, since childhood, using the very blade. She would wield Dark Sister during the conquest. However, in reality, she had little opportunity to use it, owing to the fact much of the fighting for the king and his two queens was from the back of their three dragons. But during the First Dornish War, when the Targaryens were in King's Landing, they were attacked on multiple occasions by assassins sent by Dorne, which gave Visenya an opportunity to use Dark Sister. She was attacked one night in King's Landing and slew the last of her assassins with Dark Sister after her two escorts were killed. Visenya then also twice wielded her longsword against Dornish assassins in Aegon's defence, with one such attack taking place in 10 AC. When Aegon proclaimed he still felt sufficiently protected by his guard, Visenya quickly drew Dark Sister and cut Aegon's cheek before the king's defenders could even react. Aegon then entrusted Visenya with establishing the very first Kingsguard as a result. Visenya would pass on Dark Sister to her son, Prince Maegor, the king's second son, as a name day present, when Maegor turned 13 in 25 AC. Maegor always thrived when partaking in martial pursuits, and became just as skilled of a warrior with Dark Sister as his mother had been. When Maegor's elder brother, King Aenys, became king in 37 AC, he gave Maegor Blackfyre, owing to the fact Aenys was not much of a warrior. Since that day, Maegor hung Dark Sister on the wall of his chamber in Dragonstone, while wielding Blackfyre in battle, being the only Targaryen to have possession of both ancestral blades of the house. But after Maegor had usurped the throne from Aenys' eldest son after the king's death, and followed by the death of Dowager Queen Visenya on Dragonstone in 44 AC, the then hostage Dowager Queen Alyssa Velaryon, Aenys' widow, fled with her two youngest children, Jaehaerys and Alysanne, taking Dark Sister from Visenya's chambers as they left. In 48 AC, Jaehaerys carried Dark Sister when he announced his claim to the Iron Throne at Storm's End, using the blade as a replacement for Blackfyre, which at this time was still in the possession of Maegor. The prince became king after Maegor died on the Iron Throne under mysterious circumstances, and would later wield Blackfyre over Dark Sister. The blade was then wielded by the second son of King Jaehaerys, Prince Baelon Targaryen, known to the history books as Baelon the Brave, who too was another renowned warrior, both in battle and on the tourney field. Baelon wielded Dark Sister in 92 AC when avenging the death of his elder brother, Prince Aemon, who had been slain by Myrish pirates who had invaded and occupied parts of Tarth. Baelon the Brave slew countless Meermen with the blade. The next wielder of Dark Sister was his son, Prince Daemon Targaryen, the second son of Baelon. Daemon was given Dark Sister by King Jaehaerys I, his grandfather, for his prowess in combat, much like his father. While we do not know when exactly Daemon was given Dark Sister, it's been speculated it would be somewhere between Baelon's death in 101 AC and Jaehaerys' death in 103 AC. We know it was Jaehaerys who gave his grandson the blade and not Baelon himself, thus why the timescale is between those two dates being the only possible times. Daemon would use Dark Sister many times over his life, both in combat and in tourneys, and was a feared and renowned competitor on the field, winning almost every fight he fought. That was until, much to the shock of all watching, Sir Criston Cole defeated Daemon in the tourney for King Viserys I's ascension to the Iron Throne, knocking Dark Sister from the prince's hand with a Morning Star. It has been put forward that Cole's choice of an unconventional Morning Star in the tourney may have caught Daemon off guard, who was more used to dealing with opponents using longswords. Daemon wielded Dark Sister during his war in the Stepstones, using it to behead Craghas Drahar in 108 AC. In 115 AC, he defeated the Braavosi betrothed of Laenor Velaryon with the blade in a duel, winning her hand in marriage as a result. During the Dance of the Dragons, Daemon would fight against Aemon Targaryen with the blade in the battle above the God's Eye, leaping from the back of his dragon Caraxes to plunge Dark Sister into Aemon's eye. When Aemon's bones were found some years later in the waters of the God's Eye, Dark Sister was still thrust hilt deep through his eye socket. How exactly the blade was recovered from the bottom of the God's Eye is not exactly known to us. Prince Aemon Targaryen, known as Aemon The Dragonknight, was the next wielder of Dark Sister. Aemon was a legendary warrior and one of the noblest and best knights Westeros has ever seen. He was deemed worthy of Dark Sister after several successive tourney victories, becoming the greatest jouster and swordsman of his era. He served in the Kingsguard of his elder brother, King Aegon IV Targaryen, known in the history books as Aegon the Unworthy. Aemon died between the years 178 and 183 AC, protecting his brother from assassins. It is presumed he was using Dark Sister at the time of his death. Eventually, Dark Sister was bestowed upon one of the illegitimate children of King Aegon IV, known as the Great Bastards, Brynden Rivers, more commonly known as Bloodraven, who would play such a key role during the Blackfyre Rebellions, and serving as Hand of the King to King Jaehaerys I Targaryen. Despite being deemed worthy to wield Dark Sister, Brendan's favourite weapon was in fact a weirwood longbow. In 205 AC, a young Sir Duncan the Tall saw Brendan wearing Dark Sister on his hip while riding through the Street of Steel with his raven's teeth in King's Landing. According to some sources, Brendan took Dark Sister with him when he went to the Wall to join the Night's Watch. He eventually rose to become Lord Commander of the Night's Watch in 239 AC, but he disappeared beyond the Wall in 252. The sword's current whereabouts are unknown, but it is presumed he took it north of the Wall with him, and for now, the blade is lost, but may very well appear before the story's end.